We do have some learning outcomes for this presentation. So by the end of today, we're hoping that you're going to be able to identify 2 ways to research companies, 2 questions to ask employers, and 1 best practice for Brazen, which is our virtual career fair platform. And these are sort of the topics that we're going to cover during the session. So we'll start off with researching companies, going into what you should be including in your elevator pitch, onto resume, conversation starters, questions to ask, follow up, Brazen, and then a Q&A.
Okay, so our first topic, we're just going to briefly go over some resume tips. So it's important to make sure your resume is ready to go before the career fair. And some general tips. Your experiences are in reverse chronological order. So once you get to your job section, you start with your most recent job. If you're doing work right now, that goes first, and then you work your way backwards. And you can include the months and years that you are working for each position. And we like students to use bullet points to describe your responsibilities and your accomplishments. It just makes it more reader friendly. And you don't want the bullet points to be too long, so we usually say about 2 rows. One is very common. If it needs a little more detail, 2 is fine. But feel free to take up the whole line. If you end it too early, then it may make your resume too long. So as you can see in the sample, it's right over to where the dates are, some of the sentences. And then the common question we get, how long should your resume be? And as an undergrad, we recommend 1 page. And you do, as you can kind of see in the sample, there's some white space in there. You don't want it to be so text heavy that it's hard to read. So it's nice if you can have some spacing in between your headings. Consistency is key. So just make sure in your format, if you're bolding the first line, say of, University of San Diego under education, and then under your experience or research, that first line could be your job title and you're bolding that, have it the same in each entry. Or if you prefer to put the organization name first, bold that, and then the second is the title unbolded. Just stay consistent. And then finally, if you can tailor your resume to a particular job that you're applying for, so that may not necessarily need to be done for the career fair, but if you get interviews set up, try to tailor it as much as possible to the job. There's a great website called jobscan.co, and I'll include this in our follow-up email with all the links. And what you can do is you can paste the job description that you're applying to, and then also upload your resume. And the system does a match, and it gives you a percent of the amount of skills that are matched to the job description. So, and then if it's not a very high percentage, it gives you tips on what else you could include in your resume to make sure that it's tailored. All right, and then just a few of the key components in the header. Make sure you have your name, email, phone number, and if you have a LinkedIn URL, put that in there. And you can use that same header on your cover letter, so there's consistency in the formatting. Emphasize section headers, so just making the headlines stand out, like education, experience, skills, volunteer, etc. Use capital letters, bold, and underlines. Try to avoid tables and columns and things that just, it makes it look a little bit too crowded and complicated. So we do like it to be a simple format. And because you're, I believe most of you are undergrads, or even if you're a graduate student, we recommend education as first. That's something you want to highlight. It is a strength, and then employers can see right away what your major is, your expected graduation date, and so they'll know what year you are as well. And just make sure to put, even if you're a sophomore, you can still put Bachelor of Arts candidate or Bachelor of Business Administration in marketing, expected graduation May 2023 or 24, whenever that is. So you can put the degree that's expected in addition to your major. Other sections could be projects, leadership, awards, skills, honors, etc. Okay, so research. I was looking over the evaluations from our general career fair from a few weeks ago, and a lot of students were, they seemed to have a hard time finding the companies that were attending the career fair. So it was hard for them to do research. So on Handshake, as well as, or if you just go to our events page on the Career Center's website, either place, you click on the career fair, and I'll show you, and Bree will also go over this too. There's a little tab, it automatically sent us to this. If you hit list of organizations, oh, we did reformat a little bit. So this is great. Kelsey created this list, and she has all the employers listed in here with some general information about them and a link to their website. Also, if you want to know which employers are hiring students with disabilities, international students, and veterans, those companies are also listed as well. If there is a question that you want me to answer right now, feel free to I can't see the chat right now, but Bree and Raven can keep an eye on that. Feel free to speak out or type something in if something's not clear. Research the organization and open positions. So you can make a personal connection with their mission, see what their mission statement is, what they do, what service do they provide or product do they meet. And it's just a great idea to just look at all the companies before the career fair and at least get on their website so you can see what they do. We do have, I have two other sites that I want to bring up that are important for your research. And this is also good information for when you get an interview. So it doesn't have to be completely in-depth research for the career fair, but this is going to be helpful for once you start interviewing. But Glassdoor is a great website. Some of you may be familiar with it, but you're going to get information on Glassdoor that you're not necessarily going to get on their website. So there's information on salaries, company description, and interviews. So for example, if we click on interviews, let's type in the company that's coming. Let's see. How about Scripps? Oops. So they'll actually give you interviews that have been asked at Scripps Research. So this will help you prepare if you do end up getting an interview. And there's also just impressions about the company from employees as well as interviewees. For example, for this particular interview, do you believe every patient should be treated the same? Do you think it's fair to treat every patient the same, etc.? So, and it gives you information on what the interview process is like. So that's a great website, as well as it sounds, this is basic, but LinkedIn is amazing for research too. So you just type in the company name. So C-Spine is coming. We know that they love to hire our students, and it tells you about their mission. And then there's also videos. So this is a video on their procedures or surgeries that use their their technology. And then there's, there's blog posts, there's articles, and then you could also see what alumni are working for C-Spine, and perhaps reach out to them if you have an interview, if you want to get some advice. So there's just a wealth of information on LinkedIn. So when we were talking about our outcomes, one of the things we want you to walk away with are at least 2 places where you can research companies. So just remember Glassdoor and LinkedIn, and of course their website.
All right. So I think one of the things that I hear from students all the time is, how do I make my elevator pitch? What should be included? What does that look like? So an elevator pitch should really be 30 seconds or less when spoken, and they should include these components. It should have your name, your major, and the year that you are in school, what type of position you are seeking, whether that would be an internship, a part-time job, a full-time job, a volunteer role. You want to make sure that you make that clear. You also want to include some knowledge of the company and interest in their work that showcases passion and eagerness, as well as that you've done all of that research, right, that Sue just showed you how to do. And then also you want to end your elevator pitch with a strong question about their organization to open up the conversation. If you don't have that question and you just say, this is who I am, it might be awkward trying to move forward. So if you ask them a question, then they're going to have something to respond to, and it's going to keep that conversation going. I do recommend, especially for a virtual career fair, that you type your pitch, your elevator pitch, into a document and have it ready to copy and paste into the text chat. We're going to talk more about what Brazen and what the interactions with employers looks like later, but you might have a text chat, a phone chat, or a video chat, depending on the employer. So if you're only typing, you want to make sure that that elevator pitch, you're not spending your time trying to type that out on the spot, that you have it ready to go, copy and paste it in, and then you're ready to start that conversation and maximize your time with that employer. If you are going to have a phone and video chat, though, it is helpful to practice that pitch out loud. And we do have a resource on our website that's linked in this slide. It's called Interview Stream. You can also find it on our website. But Interview Stream basically allows you to say an answer to a question, and it's going to record you. And the wonderful thing about Interview Stream is that you can watch yourself back, and you might notice, oh, I say like and too much, or I move my hands and that's too distracting, or I really didn't answer the question. If I added this, it would be a much stronger answer. So students are always telling me, oh, I'm so nervous to watch myself recorded back. Saying things out loud, practicing it over and over again really does make a big difference. So even though it might be uncomfortable, I encourage you all to take advantage of Interview Stream and practice and watch yourself back answering various questions. It's also super helpful when you're preparing for an interview as well. Perfect. So I do have an example here. So this elevator pitch says, hi, my name is Taylor Terrero. I'm a junior at the University of San Diego, majoring in psychology. I'm interested in becoming a therapist, specifically working with people with autism. I'm looking for a behavior technician internship for this coming summer, and I noticed you have a position posted on Handshake. Can you tell me more about the qualifications you seek in an intern? This hits all of those components. It showcases that you know that they have a job post on their website, that you've done that research, and then it ends with a strong question about what qualifications that they're looking for, so that you can fully take advantage of that opportunity and have a really strong application. All right, so in addition to our elevator pitch, we also want to prepare some questions to ask the employers. So although you might have that one question at the end of your elevator pitch, as the conversation keeps going, you want to have questions ready so that you can continue the conversation, make sure you're getting answers so that you can really understand if that company is going to be a good fit and what opportunities are available. We do recommend having 3 to 5 questions to ask the employer before you go into the fair or an interview. I do recommend having them typed as well so that you can quickly copy and paste it into the text chat. I also think it's helpful to put your top 3 questions, physically write them out on a Post-it and put the Post-it right next to your camera. The reason for that is that if you are doing a video chat, you don't have to look down at your notes and you can still stay engaged and they're right there for you. The other really great thing about that is that it can remind you to look at the camera rather than the screen. When looking at the camera, it appears that you're more engaged, that it's like that eyesight, right? The eye contact. So put a little smiley face on that Post-it too, so you remember to smile and to look at the camera. Some examples of questions would be, what do you love most and least about working here? What should I be doing now to prepare myself for a job in this field? What types of positions are you recruiting for today? Are there any special qualifications for these positions? What is your hiring process like? How can I follow up on the status of my application? This is also a really great way to get their email address or potentially ask them, what is the best way to connect with you? They might tell you LinkedIn, and then you can go connect with them on LinkedIn and you're building your network there as well. So definitely some great questions to consider. Don't be afraid to, even if you have these questions ready, once the conversation goes, don't be afraid to kind of come up with questions on the fly and ask things based upon how the conversation is flowing. Also, if you can create questions that are specifically based upon the research that you did, the stronger of a question it's going to appear to the employer. We do have some questions to avoid as well. So some of those are, what does your company do? What is your company mission statement? These are questions that you can find on the company website. They're that big, broad questions. So those should be answered in your research. So definitely I would not take up time in the fair to ask those sorts of questions. Also, questions around what is the salary for a typical entry-level role, or are relocation funds available, anything that has to do with benefits. I would suggest saving that for future conversations, for interviews, for salary negotiations when you get a job offer. The fair is really for you to kind of start building that relationship and to learn about the company and what it's really like working there. Also, when we're talking to employers in our office, we're having lots of conversations around diversity, equity, and inclusion. So if that is of interest for you, if you have questions around that, I would encourage you to ask them. These are really great questions that will also give you some good insight into whether that company is going to be a good fit for you, if they value their employees, if they respect the people that they're working with. So some of those questions might be, what are your strategic objectives and goals related to diversity, equity, and inclusion? How does your organization define and promote diversity, equity, and inclusion? Which groups do you consider underrepresented in your field or organization? And what steps are you taking to hire and empower people who fit into those categories? A lot of companies are doing some great work around that. So I'm sure they would love to share with you what they're actually doing right now to diversify and value all of their employees. How does your company develop cultural competency in anti-racism and decrease unconscious bias amongst your employees? This can be a very telling answer depending on what that is. So again, if these are things that you are really wondering about, do not be afraid to ask them these questions when you're at the fair.
One thing I should have mentioned when I was talking about resumes, two things. One, we have a ton of resume samples on our website. I'll send that link out. It's in our career guide. We have a PDF version, and we also have a Google Doc version. So you can make a copy of the Google Doc if you want to just type over your own information and tailor it to your own needs. But if formatting is a pain for you, we wanted to make it easy for you by providing those documents. And then also just wanted to invite you to come see one of us in the Career Center for anything related to career planning, but especially as you're getting your resume ready for the career fair. If you want one of us to look it over, feel free to meet with one of us. Okay, so following up after the career fair is very important. The cool thing about Brazen is you can log into the Brazen platform and review all of the chats that you had with recruiters in the history tab. Bree will show you about that. And just make sure you complete any application instructions that you received from the recruiter during your meeting. He or she may have said for you to fill out an application or send a resume. So just you can record notes in Brazen too, or you can take notes on your own. If you're talking to more than one employer, sometimes it can be a lot to keep track of. So my advice would be to jot down some notes. And then one of the most important things is to write a thank you, just a thank you email to each person that you talked with at the career fair. And try to do that within 24 hours. If you can do it the same day, that's very impressive. And if it's appropriate, you can send a LinkedIn request. You can always ask the recruiter what's the best way to follow up and see if they mention LinkedIn. If you do message them on LinkedIn, send a personalized message. We all get invitations to LinkedIn, and a lot of times we don't know who the person is. Did we meet you maybe a long time ago in a presentation? Or so just reference, just make sure you reference that you met them at the career fair. And we have a sample thank you note right here. And for more samples, it's in the career guide, which I will send you the link to that. But it can be just very simple. Thank you for taking the time to meet with me at the career fair. I appreciate your time and attention, enjoyed learning about your organization. And this is specific to a tutoring position with children with autism. So mentioning that. And then also what you've done, that you applied through Handshake, and you've also attached your resume. So just genuine, basic, to the point. And a lot of students or a lot of candidates don't send thank you notes. So this is also a way to make yourself memorable. And then a few tips for virtual fairs. So before the fair, make sure you upload your resume to Brazen to have that ready to go. And also have a copy handy. Just print a copy or pull it up on your computer, just in case during the fair if you need to reference it. Pay attention to your background. So all the chats start off as texting, but the employer or recruiter may ask if you want to do a video chat. So if that's the case, just make sure before that your background is tidy. And be flexible. Some recruiters may treat it like a little mini interview, even though you only have about 10 minutes. And some it's just information to share information about the company and to increase awareness or interest. So you don't know exactly always what they'll be looking for. But it is important that you make a strong first impression. So if that video comes on, just look engaged and excited, and kind of those nonverbal cues are always helpful. Nodding and the eye contact, as Raven said, looking into the webcam camera makes it appear as if you're having eye contact. And just showing interest and having those questions prepared to show that you're ready to have a good conversation. And also for dress, so for the career fair, now that it's virtual, it's not as formal. You know, if you want to wear a suit, you certainly can. You don't need to though, but just make sure you look professional. We have a Pinterest page with some business casual attire suggestions if you just want to get an idea of what would be appropriate. Okay, so now we get to have Bree walk us through Brazen, our online platform, is what you'll be using for the career fair.
Hi again, everyone. So yeah, my name is Bree. Just a little about me. I graduated in May 2018 with a business in business economics. I did a few student orgs on campus, such as SSS, Alpha Pi Sigma, and I worked at the ITS help desk. I consider that a student org too. But anyways, yeah, enough about myself. So just to kind of get a feel for the room, how many of you have used Brazen before, attended one of our past events? If you could just like raise your hand or use the little raise hand emoji. Okay, great. So hopefully this is all some good information for you all. Yeah, so if you didn't catch it already, I'm going to be showing you how to use Brazen today. Yeah, and I know it's a new platform for you all, but don't be intimidated. Like, we're here to help and walk you through every step of the process, no matter how many times it takes. Yeah, so I'm going to go ahead and share my screen now. So in order to access our Brazen event for the healthcare fair, you'll log into Handshake. So the link is sandiego.joinhandshake.com. And you'll go up here. So once you're logged in, you'll go up here to events. And feel free to follow along, or you could just watch as well, and whatever works best for you. So you'll go to career fair right here. This will filter for our fairs. And then we'll find the USD Healthcare Science and Research Virtual Fair. So now we're on this page. And in order to get to the Brazen registration, you'll click on register here, the word here. And it'll bring you to this landing page. So you'll click on register now. So if it's your first time using Brazen, I'd highly recommend just using this form of sign up, first name, last name, email address, and password. Then you'll click on sign up. If you've created a Brazen account before, you can just click on login at the bottom right there. Login. So once you log in, the first thing you'll see, you might get a pop-up showing you some like an introduction to Brazen, or you might get this registration page. So just a little bit about this registration page. I highly recommend you fill out every single field, even though some of them are not required. A few reasons being, one, when you're chatting with an employer, they'll be able to see some of these fields and reference them later after the event is over. So you want to make sure they have as much information on you as possible. And second reason being is we're introducing a new feature that Brazen is offering for employers to schedule chats with you. So basically the way that the scheduled chats go is they take this information that you filled out on your registration, and they choose like different qualifications they have based off of this, and they'll send you an invite through email. And on that email, you'll just follow the prompts, and you'll choose a time to chat. And then on the day of the event, you'll log in before that time. And when the time comes, it'll pop up automatically. Yeah, so this is our first time using the scheduled chat. So please bear with us as we work out all the bugs. It's a brand new feature. And don't be discouraged if you don't get any invites either, because like I said, this is our first time, so we're not sure like how many employers are actually going to use it. If you don't get any invites, it's possible that there are no employers even using this feature, so just keep that in mind. Okay, so yeah, that's the registration. Be sure to fill all of that out, and you can go back and edit this later. Also, if you say you want to get your resume, like improve your resume a little bit after you register, you can upload it again. So yeah, so this page will pop up, and then you'll click on enter event. Now here's the pop-up. So if you need a refresher, you can go through all this, or you can exit, and it'll take you to the lobby. So there's like 3 different areas of this lobby. So you have this the left side, which is like all these different tabs. We'll go over a few of them in detail a little bit later. Then you have all of these booths. So each booth has a company in it. And I also want to make note of these 2 CDev booths where you can go in the day of the event, ask any questions, or just get prepped to talk to an employer. If I were in your shoes, I'd probably stop here first to get pumped up, and as well as maybe you want to use it to kind of see how the chat works before you go in with a real employer. So yeah, and then we have the right side over here. So there's a bunch of good information. You could find that disability, international, and veteran employer list on the right here. And I also want to make note of these troubleshooting tips. You know, it's technology, so it doesn't always go the way you want it to. So here's some different things you could try. But after you've tried all of these things, and if you're still like running into issues, please feel free to drop by the CDEV Zoom room right here. You can just click on that and join. And me or one of my colleagues will be in there ready to help with any technology issues that happen. So yeah, so that's basically like the main points of the lobby. So we'll go ahead and enter one of the booths now, just so you could kind of get a feel for it. So these booths, they're going to be improved over time. Some companies don't like put any information until the day of the event, but any information can be found here. This could be used as a tool for your research. I wouldn't recommend it be your only tool. You know, go back to Glassdoor, go to Handshake. Those have way more information, but it could be something that you also take a look at. You can also see the representatives. And yeah, so say I wanted to talk to Encodia on the day of the event. We don't see it right now, but on the day of the event, you could get into line and click, there will be a green chat button right here. So you'll just click that and you'll be entered into line. And yeah, so I also want to make note that you can wait in multiple lines. So if Encodia has a huge line, you can get into line and then go back and join another line while you're waiting for that one. And you won't lose your spot in any of the lines. So yeah, so that's about it for the booth. There'll also be some information about like how many people are in line, different things like that. So once it's your turn, the chat will pop up and it will, you'll be entered into a 10-minute chat. The chat will start off as a text chat. So again, like Raven mentioned earlier, I recommend you have like a Word doc or something where you could copy and paste it, especially if maybe typing's not like your best skill. You know, you don't want to spend your only 10 minutes like trying to type out one paragraph. Yeah, or companies can initiate a video or voice call with you. So you'll get like another pop-up to accept or reject that. And yeah, so make sure like you want to look presentable as possible. You're talking to an employer, but also keep in mind like not all employers use the video chat. So some prefer the text chat and some prefer video chat. So be ready for anything. And then after the chat, you'll get like the chat will finish and then you'll be able to leave a note for the employers. So this is kind of what it looks like right here. Let me see if I could zoom in a little bit. So you'll be able to leave a final thought. So this is like the place where you could send like a thank you to the employer. That's one way to do it. And you'll also be able to leave like a rating and notes. These ratings and notes will only be viewable to you. So this is like a place where you can put your true thoughts of your experience, you know, if you're really interested in working there, and any points that you want to like remember. And this will be accessible. Let's see, let's go back. So all of those notes will be accessible right here on the left on the history tab. I don't have anything here yet because the event hasn't happened, but through this history tab, so that's on the left, you'll be able to see a little bit of information about the employer, such as the first and last name of the person that you talked to, those notes and the rating that you left. And if you did a text chat, you'll be able to see like the full transcript. And this history tab is accessible for a long time. Like I went back to the fairs from last semester and I was still able to see them. So yeah, you could always like use this as a reference. If you're missing the link, feel free to reach out to us and we could resend it to you. Let's see. Yeah, so after you're done chatting at the whole event, and you know, you're getting ready to leave, we highly encourage you to take this student survey just to tell us how we did, if there's anything that we can improve to make things better for you, because we really want to make this as smooth and as best as possible. And yeah, oh, also if you want to go back and edit your registration, that's also on the left-hand side. You could re-upload resume, all of that. So yeah, that's pretty much it as far as Brazen. Raven or Suju, did I miss anything?
I don't think so. We will go into Q&A though, so all of
Yeah.
our students in the room can ask whatever questions they had about the platform or about preparing for the fair. I'm also going to put in a comment into the chat, and it's going to have a link to a survey. Please, please, please fill out that survey. We really want your honest feedback so that we can keep improving these sessions as we do them. We won't see your name attached to the specific comments, so please be honest. It really does help us out. So thank you in advance for filling that out, but please fill it out before you leave this Zoom room. Don't just open the link and do it later, do it right now. So I'm going to put that in the chat, and then we'll open it up for Q&A. And for the Q&A, feel free to unmute yourself, or if you want to type it in the chat, or if you're uncomfortable putting it in there and want to send it to one of us directly, feel free to do that too, and we can answer it.
Alex, while we're waiting for questions, is there anything else you would like to add? Our coworker Alex is just observing.
No, thank you. It's very thorough.
Great. There was one question at the very beginning about what's the best thing, what are the most important things to mention, to say about yourself, and hopefully Raven's response answered your question about the pitch. But if you need more information on that, feel free to let us know.
Hi, John. Do you have a question?
I do have a quick question. I was wondering if, let's just say you're in the waiting line for 2 different rooms, how does, or even just for one room, how do you get notified when you're at the top of the list and you're ready to chat?
Yeah, so there's usually like a little like ding noise that happens. But yeah, it pops up automatically. So I'd recommend like being near your computer. Yeah.
And then the other question I had is, let's just say I'm on 2 different waiting lists. I get in one, I start my 10-minute chatting session, and then I move to the top of the list on the other one. I'm not going to get yanked out of my current one, am I? Or how does that?
No, you should not. And yeah, we have it so students only can engage in one chat at a time. So you'll like stay at the top until like you're available.
Okay.
Great questions.
Mm-hmm.
Also, here's the direct link to the event if any of you want to start your registration now if you haven't already.
Anything else? We can hang out for a few minutes if you want to stay and ask questions. Any other final thoughts?
Yeah, I had a question. So you said the list of employers or recruiters would be on Brazen?
Yes.
I can send that over too.
Yeah, so there's going to be, the list of employers are going to appear in a lot of different places. So it's going to be on Brazen, it's going to be on Handshake, and it's going to be in that Google Sheet where it talks about all the employers, and then the employers that specifically want to that will work with international students, students with disabilities, and veteran students. So you can look at the different lists in all of those places, but in terms of reading through the company information, we do recommend Handshake because that is going to have the most thorough information and descriptions on the various companies. So lots of different places to look. We recommend, looking at all of them as in addition to Glassdoor, LinkedIn, websites, all of that good stuff. But hopefully that helps.
Bree just posted the links.
Perfect.
For easy access.
I just had a quick question. In the career fair, is there a time? It's from 11:30 to 2, I think, right? Something like that.
Correct.
Is there a time in which it's least busy that you found?
I found at the last career fair, it wasn't as busy towards the end.
Towards the end?
Yeah.
Okay.
I will say, however, I have one suggestion because there's not as many companies at this fair. And we don't know how many people are going to be attending. So there's only going to be so many representatives from each company. So if you're really trying to talk to someone from a specific company, I would recommend coming in the beginning, because we heard at some of our previous fairs that people would come in halfway or more towards the end. And then because everyone's still waiting in those lines, that they weren't able to talk to some of the companies that they really wanted to. And just because there aren't as many employers this time, I think even more so, there's going to be longer waits. So I would definitely try to come in at the beginning and jump into the lines, even if you're not going to, because you might have to wait a while to actually talk to the employer.
Right. I see what you're saying. Yeah, no, there's definitely something to be said for like being early. On the employers list, just to follow up, are there companies that you're expecting are going to have lengthy lines on this list, maybe that are worth getting a head start on?
Scripts, I would say.
I was going to say that.
Yeah.
None of the others come to mind for me as having a long line, but scripts for sure.
I think C-Spine is popular with our engineering students, so that one too might be a little more crowded.
For sure.
Yeah.
All right. Thank
That's
you.
a good question.
Sure. Yeah. Great questions.
Feel free to like hop in a line and like do your homework on the side too. Like just as long as you're like keeping an eye on your space in line.
Yeah, no, yeah, full disclosure, I'm probably just gonna hop in the line during class, but it's just the way to yeah.
Anything else?
Yeah, I have a quick question.
Sure.
So I know the event is you get 2 compass points and your networking event. Is there a certain file we have to fill out to make sure we get credit for that, or just attending will get it?
So I would make sure when you're filling out your registration, be sure to put your USD student ID. Also take the survey at the end, and also make sure you engage in at least one chat as well.
But if you do all of that, you should get all of your points. So you should be
Yes.
good to go.
I actually have one more question too. This next fair isn't really my major or like my degree or what I'm trying to go for really. So I probably won't be attending this next one. But do you guys know if you guys are planning on any like computer science or cybersecurity career fairs coming up in the future?
I know that sorry.
No, go ahead, Bree.
I know that we had a fall, in the fall, we had an engineering fair. So that sounds like it would fall under you. I don't know if we have really mapped out, maybe Sue or Raven, if you know, if we've mapped out like our next fall career fairs yet.
We don't have that set yet for the fall. What year are you?
Technically I'm a first semester junior.
Okay. Yeah, they'll definitely be more in the fall. And your major is computer science?
Yes.
Okay. And I think there is an event coming up that's more technical with SWE. Have you seen that?
No, I haven't yet.
Okay. I will find the information for you and email it to you. I'll just take down your name and.
Yeah, my name is Connor, Connor, last name Reid, Reid.
Great.
Yeah, I think that event is next Thursday, and it will also be on Brazen.
Oh, good. Okay. Great. So that's coming up.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I actually have another question also.
Sure.
I know you showed the sample resumes in the PowerPoint you were showing, and I was wondering if there's any way to get just all the different kinds so you can see how to tailor it for certain employers.
Definitely. I think Bree, did you put that link in the chat?
Was that
The resume
the-
samples, the career guide?
Yeah,
I'll put
post
it again. Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's my favorite resource, and Raven had a lot to do with getting that on our website. So we appreciate that. I think it's really going to help students to see so many different examples.
I really hope they're helpful. So if you find that they are, let us know, because it's brand new this semester that we have those editable versions. So we really do hope that that's going to be a good resource for you all.
And there's also cover letter samples in there, and then a few extra documents. One that's like gives examples of all different kinds of USD experiences, like leadership or working on campus. And there's one for skills, there's one for study abroad. Just a lot of, and then like additional like common work experiences, like working in a restaurant, sample descriptions, or working in retail, those kinds of things.
Any other questions? Y'all can ask us anything you want.
I think it's, I don't know if anybody hasn't done it yet, but I think once students try it after that first or second meeting, it's not too scary. I think just, in fact, it's, in some ways, it's just a lot calmer of an experience because it's not so noisy and you're not surrounded by a ton of people. So in some ways, there are some advantages to doing it virtually. But as Bree showed you, if you run into any trouble, we have those other rooms set up where you can talk to a career counselor or Bree for the technical piece, and then one of us if you just need tips on conversation or anything like that. We'll be available the whole fair. All right. Well, if there's nothing else, like I said, I'll send out information with our contact information, as well as all these links to make it easy for you, as well as the slides. So keep an eye out for that in your email. And we just want to thank you for all your great questions and your attention. And good luck next week.
Yeah. Just to add to that, thank you so much for being here. If you were hoping to get a compass point for this event, you should see that in the next 7 business days. If you don't see the point for this Prepare for the Fair in the next 7 business days, reach out to our office and we'll make sure to get that settled, but also fill out that survey that I put in the link, please, please, please. We really appreciate your feedback, but thank you all so much for joining us, and good luck at the fair.